Circles always small, keep a certain few. Only ever us, just the perfect crew. People ask for...
Hello everybody, welcome to a new video. Somebody sent me in a video about Josip Broz Tito, Marshal, leader, president. It's from a channel called Tooky History or something like that. And because there isn't much known about Tito, and I have done a lot of research about ex-Yugoslavia and Tito, etc. Read a lot of books and seen a lot of documentaries, spoken to a lot of people, so I'm really deep into this subject and I really know a lot about this. I really want to know what someone else from like America, I don't know if he's from America, but a different country who did research on Tito, what did he find on the internet and what is his opinion about this. So I really want to take a look at that today, and I hope you're gonna like this video. If you do, leave a like down below, and if you think that this concept is a good thing or you have a different idea, just comment that down below as well, and I can maybe check it out for a new video. Subscribe to the channel, of course, if you actually like the content that you're about to see. If you don't, then you don't.
How to go into war against a nation and later become its president. Can you be ruthless to your opponents and still be loved by everyone?
It's animated.
Is it
it
possible
looks
to
funny.
say no to Stalin and not get killed instantly? Only one person could answer all these questions. Josip Broz Tito. Tito was born in today's Croatia, which belonged to Austria-Hungary. He was just a regular dude from a rural family working odd jobs. But then the army called.
I like this dramatic part. And then the army called. It's getting dark. Oh no.
Meanwhile, Stalin's NKVD, which stands for not killing very discreetly, it doesn't, started cleansing communists who had different views from those in Russia. It was enough for someone to be called a Trotskyist, or the fact that their mustache was suspiciously blonde. They didn't really need a reason, they just needed a...
Okay, the way he brings this is really funny, to be honest, but so far all the facts are correct.
list. The nominees for the most evil regime of the 20th century are North Korea's Kim Dynasty, Equatorial Guinea under Ngema, Nazi Germany, and the Ustaše of the independent state of Croatia. And the winner is... Well, obviously the Nazis, but the Ustaše came quite close. They ran extermination camps and were the only ones with death camps exclusively for kids. Some wouldn't even make it there. They'd get thrown into deep pits inhabited by both the dead and the living. Amidst all of this, there were the Partisans. Led by Tito, they started...
Some things, I don't know, he brings it in a cartoon and in kind of funny way, but like, those things that he just mentioned are just really fucked up. And it just comes across like he's bringing it quite funny, but hey, that's his style, I guess, or his videos, so I'm not gonna blame him for that, but I would do that a bit differently.
After the war, Yugoslavia developed rapidly.
Yeah.
There was a one-party system, and Tito was the president of both the party and the country. He suppressed religion and nationalism by deleting wartime memories. If you were okay with this, you'd love the guy. A job was waiting for you, as well as a cheap flat and a big lollipop. Tito changed the constitution so that he could become president for life. The new constitution, however, allowed more power to the republics, and that eventually paved the way for the Yugoslav wars in the 90s. And what about crime?
That's not quite true. He took full power, but he still... he gave the republics more power, but he was still the remaining main power. So... as long as there was someone on the main power position that's not nationalistic like all the other countries are now, it never would have happened if there was a good second or a good follow-up for Tito, and there wasn't, and that was the problem actually. He didn't prepare a good follow-up for his own position.
Well, Tito had a secret police, and crime was handled in a fairly original way.
I watched a documentary on the secret police of Tito, and it goes really far and deep. Like, every country has it, but the secret police of the Yugoslavia was like ridiculous. really ridiculous.
Listen up, Tooky. This is the third person you stabbed this month. You can't just go around stabbing everyone who doesn't like your video.
What they did, the secret police actually used top criminals and mercenaries or people who got captured and tried to revolt against the power and make an own state like Croatians, etc. And he would use them. Criminals that later became part of the 90s war were actually imprisoned people during the time of Yugoslavia, and they were allowed to be free under the control of the Secret Service, where they would use them to do their dirty work in other countries, like eliminating persons that they wanted to eliminate. They knew exactly in every country where Yugoslavs were working, nationalists, Croatians, nationalist Serbians, etc. Everywhere in Europe, or actually in the world, Secret Service was monitoring them, and they exactly knew what they were thinking, planning, etc.
I'm sorry. Well, sorry's not gonna do it this time. You have two options. Option 1, spend your life in Yugoslav jail. Option 2, we give you passport with fake name, you go to Western Europe and do what our Secret Service says.
Yeah.
Now if you want to rob a bank or do crime, we don't really care. Just not here. Can I think about it? Doing
was the
crime, though,
policy.
was nothing compared to trash-talking Tito. Yugoslavia had its own Alcatraz for political prisoners.
Goliotok.
It was on an island called Goliotok, which means barren island, because it had nothing but stone on it. Newcomers had a nice welcome. They'd have to pass inmates who'd beat them with stones and chains. 9 beans and a bucket of water is what they'd get for the whole day. But what would get you there? Pretty much anything. Criticizing, telling a joke, or wearing socks and sandals. Other communist leaders, Tito didn't want to be under heavy Soviet influence. Stalin's request to have his intelligence agency in Yugoslavia was declined, and Tito started making decisions on his own.
It just really made him so pissed. I mean, but it's the policy that currently is still playing. Like, you have American bases and NATO bases, but mostly American bases all across Europe and all across, like, every European Union country has a American military base. Every country that is like friends or close to Russia has Russian bases. It's so ridiculous that this game is still going on with capturing territory, placing bases, strategic. It's just a Cold War that never ended. And Stalin tried to do that in Yugoslavia, and Tito was like, fuck no, I'm not getting into this shit.
This made Stalin a bit angry with Tito, and Yugoslavia were kicked out of the Cominform. As always, Stalin got personal with it and tried to have Tito assassinated multiple times.
Yep.
After several failed attempts, Tito said to Stalin, "Hey, yo, Joe, stop sending people to kill me. We've already captured 5 of them. If you don't stop, I'll send one to Moscow, and I won't have to send another."
And this is true.
It's the motherfucking Eagle Double G.
Snoop Dogg!
Yeah, badass.
With the Cold War going on, Tito found himself between the West and the East, but not being part of either.
Yep.
So, together with the leaders
To be honest, that neutral position is like probably the best thing that ever happened to us, because, I mean, you could play both sides and get the benefits from both sides.
of Ghana, Egypt, India, and Indonesia, he formed the non-aligned movement. The idea basically was to be cool with both sides and not get involved. More than 100 countries joined the movement, and Tito's Yugoslavia was one of the most respected countries in the world.
Yes, it was. It was one of the most respected countries in the world. One of the economically fastest growing countries and developing countries in Europe. I think it was the biggest army in the biggest army in Europe. That's what they had. Something like that. I don't know exactly anymore. Before I say something wrong, just know that it was something in that direction. The biggest army from Europe, I guess. And a 4th or 5th world power army.
They were the first communist country to open its borders and allow foreign tourists to come and go as they please.
Yep.
That's
the difference between the communist system in Russia and other countries compared to Yugoslavia. In Yugoslavia, you were actually free. You could leave and go when you wanted into the country, and people were welcome and could leave as well. So it was just, I don't know, there wasn't such a big difference between now and then when it comes to the borders. You could just go and come as you please. I think it's worse now because you cannot leave as you please. And now it's like a democratic country. Yeah, come on, fuck off.
Yugoslavia was pretty sweet. Salaries weren't particularly great, but since everything was cheaper, the standard of life was high.
Yeah.
People were able to enjoy month-long vacations and go overseas without
Month-long vacations, but month-long paid vacations every year for every employee.
a visa. Tito was also respected throughout the world. Yugoslavia was one of the few communist countries which had great relations with anti-communist regimes.
True.
And after Stalin's death, Tito was liked on both sides of the Cold War. All of this probably explains why 4 days after Josip Broz Tito's death, the world saw the largest state funeral at the time.
I'm not even kidding. It just gives me goosebumps. Because I've seen that video. I've seen that ceremony. Look at it. Look at it. Look, my hairs are standing up. It was a funeral where literally every, like 400, almost every president or king or queen or whatever from every country in the world, almost every country in the world, visited his funeral. And people, for example, Saddam Hussein back then, he was so inspired by him that he stood for his coffin for so long that somebody had to take him away. He was just standing and staring and just couldn't believe his eyes.
Delegates from all over the world joined around 700,000 Yugoslavs to pay their last respects to the greatest son of Yugoslav peoples and nationalities.
And like literally all the people from Yugoslavia cried on that day. There was, for this funeral, the train, Yugoslav train, that went through all the countries with his coffin in it, and everybody was standing along the train tracks, laying down flowers, etc. It's just insane, like ridiculous. I've never seen something like that before in my life, and never in history. So it just really makes a statement on what kind of person he is when something like that happens.
Thank you for watching.
Well, that was it for the video about Tito. To be honest, it was really a small global overview. But if you're interested in this subject, you can read a lot of books about him. There's a lot of books and documentaries about him. It's really interesting. And people disagree with me for actually liking him. But to be honest, I've read so much about his personal life and everything the way he thinks, the way he worked, the way he led his country, that it's pretty obvious that most of us today can learn a lot from this man. And that's why I studied him for so long, because there's so much useful stuff you can learn from this man. And that's the reason why I would always tell people to read his books, watch a documentary, because it's just sad how such a big man can just disappear in history because of the 90s war, and never, like in schools they don't even teach you about Yugoslavia, and they just want to get it erased from all the memories, while it was such a big country, so powerful, with such a big influence. I'm like, what the hell? I still don't understand it, but I just refuse that to die, and I will always do my best to spread the word and teach people about this subject. So I really appreciate the video that Tooky History made about this, even though it's just a bit too small for my opinion. I think there is way more to tell, that there could be a complete series about him. But I'll make another Yugoslav video. I saw something else coming by in the recommended videos, which I would like to make a video on. So I hope you guys liked the video. I hope you agree with the things that I said. If you don't, please let me know why you don't agree. The argument that I hear the most with people who are not agreeing, that's the first thing I'm gonna say before you comment. They say, you couldn't be a Muslim, you couldn't be a Christian, you couldn't have your faith. The whole thing of the communist system is to separate state and religion from each other. And the way he did that is he wanted to create equality amongst his people, among so much different people that have so much bad history with each other, by only allowing you to be a Muslim, be an Orthodox Christian, be whatever you want in your own house or in the holy house, but not in public and not on the street. He didn't want to create any diversion when it comes to religion within the country, and that's the thing that kept Yugoslavia together, because he took care of all the people who tried to do that, and he did it in a brutal way, just to that's the only way to do that in such a country with so many parties that are a ticking time bomb if you don't. So before you comment something stupid like that, please do your research. If you already done some research or know things about it, just let me know what you think about it. I thank you guys for watching, and I see you in the next video. Ciao! Oh, by the way, don't forget, we're still doing this contest for the Razer mouse, the Razer Taipan mouse, which I'm giving away. Only thing you have to do, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow me on Instagram, and follow me on Twitch, and you're automatically into the contest.